The coffee shop door slammed shut behind Tyler Mitchell, the force of it echoing through the November blizzard like a gunshot. He stood on the sidewalk outside Main Street, coffee and Comadine, his thin jacket no match for the Montana wind that cut through Red Lodge like a blade. The barista's words still rang in his ears. People like you don't belong here. Inside the warm glow of the coffee shop, Blake Harrison watched through frost-etched windows as the young man stumbled into the storm. Blake's weathered hands tightened around his mug, the same protective instinct that had carried him through 4 years of single fatherhood now blazing to life. Beside him, 7-year-old Emma looked up from her coloring book, her innocent eyes wide with concern. "Daddy, why did they hurt him?" Blake didn't answer immediately. He couldn't. The scene unfolding outside triggered something deep in his chest, a memory of another man's pain. Michael had died in these same hands 4 years ago, lungs ravaged by cancer, whispering his final words. "Promise me, Blake, don't let anyone suffer alone if you can help it." Tyler Mitchell was 28 years old and 3 months into the kind of poverty that strips away everything except the will to survive. The digital artist from Portland had watched his startup game company collapse, taking his savings, his apartment, and eventually his family's support with it. Coming out at 25 had already cost him his relationship with his conservative parents. The storm intensified as Blake made his decision. He stood slowly, his 6'3" frame casting a long shadow across the cafe. Emma grabbed his coat sleeve. "Where are you going?" Blake's voice was steady, certain. "To do what's right." He pushed through the door into the blizzard, snow immediately stinging his face. Tyler was halfway down the block, shoulders hunched against the wind. When Blake's voice cut through the storm, "Son, where you headed in this weather?" Tyler turned, startled. His pale face was already red from the cold, his lips beginning to turn blue. "Nowhere special," he said quietly. That's when Dale, the coffee shop manager, appeared in the doorway behind them. His voice carried the authority of someone used to being obeyed. "I told you to move along. We don't want any trouble here." Blake stepped between them, his presence commanding immediate attention. The wind howled around them like a living thing, but Blake's voice remained calm and dangerous. "Touch him again, and you'll regret it." Dale hesitated, recognition flickering in his eyes. Everyone in Red Lodge knew Blake Harrison. The man owned the most successful Angus ranch in the valley, employed half the seasonal workers in town, and had never been one to back down from a fight. But Blake's next words stopped the world entirely. "He's my husband." The lie hung in the air between them, crystallizing like the snowflakes might have settled on Tyler's dark hair. Tyler's eyes went wide, confusion and desperate hope warring in his expression. Blake gave him the slightest nod, a silent message that said, "Trust me, I've got you." Dale's jaw worked soundlessly for a moment before he retreated into the warmth of the coffee shop, muttering apologies. The blizzard warning had just upgraded to a full storm watch, with roads already becoming impassable. Blake turned to Tyler, his decision already made. "You're coming with us." Broken Creek Ranch sat on 5,000 acres of some of the most beautiful land in Montana, home to 400 head of prize Angus cattle and the kind of wide-open spaces that could heal a broken soul. As Blake's truck navigated the snow-covered road leading home, Tyler sat in stunned silence. Sometimes salvation comes disguised as a lie told in love, and when kindness meets desperation, it can transform two broken people into something neither could become alone. For more stories that remind us of the power of choosing love over fear, subscribe to Heart Stories. Winter on Broken Creek Ranch was not forgiving to those unprepared for its harsh lessons. Tyler learned this within his first week as he struggled to repair fence line in 20 below temperatures, his city-soft hands cracking and bleeding despite the thick gloves Blake had given him. The Angus cattle watched him with patient eyes as he fumbled with wire cutters, their breath creating clouds in the frozen air. Blake worked beside him, his movements efficient and practiced. Tyler noticed how the man never criticized his clumsy efforts, instead quietly demonstrating the proper technique for stretching wire or setting fence posts. When Tyler's hands became too numb to grip the tools, Blake would take over without comment, allowing the younger man to warm his fingers inside his jacket. The seasonal worker cabin Tyler called home was basic but comfortable. A wood-burning stove provided heat, and the small kitchenette had everything he needed to prepare simple meals. Most importantly, it had a desk by the window where he could sketch in the evenings. Tyler found himself drawing constantly. Emma on horseback, the way morning light hit the barn, Blake's weathered profile as he worked cattle. Hank Morrison had been with Broken Creek Ranch for 20 years, ever since his return from Korea. At 65, he moved with the careful precision of a man who had learned to read danger in every shadow. His initial suspicion of Tyler was not personal, simply practical. City boys came and went like seasonal weather, leaving work undone and hearts broken in their wake. Tyler proved different. When a difficult calving required all hands during a midnight blizzard, Tyler never hesitated. He held the flashlight steady while Blake and the veterinarian worked to save both cow and calf, never flinching at the blood or the urgency. When the healthy calf finally stood on shaking legs, Tyler's quiet smile and the barn's dim light revealed something Hank hadn't expected: genuine care. Evening conversations on the main house porch became Tyler and Blake's sanctuary. After Emma fell asleep, the two men would sit with steaming coffee mugs, watching stars emerge in the vast Montana sky. Blake spoke of Michael's architectural dreams, how his late husband had planned to design a new barn that would blend form and function. Tyler shared stories of Portland's art scene. These talks revealed the depth of their losses. Blake described the helplessness of watching cancer slowly steal his partner's strength, how he had held Michael's hand through that final night. Tyler spoke of the morning his parents had told him he was no longer welcome in their home, how his father's disappointed face had haunted him through months of struggle. Emma became the bridge that spanned their cautious friendship. She would visit Tyler's cabin after school, spreading her homework across his small table while he painted. Her chatter filled the space with innocent joy, and Tyler discovered he had a natural gift for explaining complex ideas in ways a child could understand. December brought the most challenging test yet. Tyler collapsed during morning feeding, his body finally succumbing to months of poor nutrition and stress. Blake found him unconscious near the cattle tank, immediately carrying him to the main house. For 3 days, Blake personally tended to Tyler's fever, bringing soup and monitoring his recovery. During those feverish hours, Tyler murmured apologies. "I'm just a burden," he whispered. Blake's response was swift and certain. "You're not a burden, Tyler. You're family." The words hung between them, heavy with meaning neither was quite ready to examine. Learning to love again requires courage because it means choosing hope over the safety of isolation. Christmas Eve arrived on Broken Creek Ranch with the kind of crystalline beauty that made Montana winters legendary. Fresh snow blanketed the pastures, and the ancient cottonwoods stood like sentinels draped in white. Tyler had never experienced a rural Christmas before, and the peaceful simplicity touched something deep in his artist's soul. Emma's accident happened so quickly that later, no one could quite explain how it occurred. She was practicing her riding on Buttercup, the gentlest mare in Blake's string, when something spooked the horse. Perhaps a jackrabbit darting through the snow, or maybe just the wind catching a loose tarp. Emma hit the frozen ground hard, her small body motionless for a terrifying moment. Tyler reached her first, his heart hammering against his ribs. Years of watching his younger cousin after her riding accidents in Portland kicked in. He knelt beside Emma, checking her pulse and breathing while speaking in calm, reassuring tones. "Stay still, sweetheart. Daddy's coming. You're going to be okay." Blake's face went white as he saw his daughter on the ground, but Tyler's steady presence kept panic at bay. Between them, they determined Emma had a mild concussion and a badly sprained wrist, nothing that required a hospital trip in the dangerous driving conditions. Tyler stayed with Emma while Blake called their family doctor. That evening, as Emma slept peacefully in her room, Blake found Tyler sitting by her bedside. The sight of this man who had once been a stranger now watching over his daughter with such devotion stirred emotions Blake had thought buried with Michael. "You were incredible today," Blake said quietly. "She trusts you completely." Christmas morning brought unexpected magic despite the previous day's scare. Emma, her arm in a colorful sling, delighted in Tyler's hand-drawn comic book featuring her adventures with purple horses. Blake's gift to Tyler was more than the easel he had mentioned. It was Michael's complete art supply collection, carefully preserved for 4 years. Tyler's hands trembled as he touched the brushes, still bearing traces of paint Michael had used for his architectural renderings. Blake explained how his late husband had painted the ranch landscapes that still hung in the living room. "I think he would want these supplies used again," Blake said, "by someone who sees beauty the way he did." Late that night, Blake found Tyler in the barn checking on a pregnant heifer who was showing signs of early labor. The two men worked together in comfortable silence, their movements synchronized by weeks of shared labor. When the calf finally arrived healthy and strong, they stood watching the newborn take its first wobbly steps. The barn was warm despite the December cold, filled with the sweet sense of hay and new life. Tyler turned to congratulate Blake on another successful birth, and suddenly they were standing closer than ever before. Blake's eyes searched Tyler's face in the lamplight, seeing not the broken man he had rescued, but someone who had become essential to his world. The kiss happened without planning or hesitation. Blake's lips found Tyler's with the inevitability of sunrise, and Tyler responded with months of suppressed longing. It was tender and desperate at the same time, tasting of coffee and hope, and the promise of something neither had dared to dream possible. When they finally broke apart, both men were breathing hard. Tyler's eyes were wide with wonder and fear. "Blake, I don't want to complicate your life more than I already have." Blake's response was immediate and certain. "You haven't complicated anything. Tyler, you've made everything make sense again." The anonymous letters escalated after the holidays, arriving with increasing frequency and venom. Bible verses about destruction and damnation were left tucked under windshield wipers and stuck to fence posts. Tyler wanted to leave for Blake's sake, but Blake refused to let fear drive them apart. True love often arrives disguised as the most dangerous choice we could make, demanding we risk everything we thought we knew about safety. Spring arrived on Broken Creek Ranch with the urgency that only those who survive Montana winters can truly appreciate. Calving season demanded everything Blake and Tyler could give, with round-the-clock shifts to ensure the safe delivery of the next generation. Tyler had never experienced anything like the intensity of helping a struggling heifer deliver her first calf at 3 in the morning. The gallery owner arrived on a Tuesday in April, her rental car navigating the muddy ranch road with obvious difficulty. Sarah Chen had driven from Bozeman after seeing photographs of Tyler's Montana landscape series online. She stood in his small cabin studio, studying the paintings with the focused intensity of someone who recognized exceptional talent. "Your work captures something I rarely see," Sarah told Tyler as she examined his painting of Blake silhouetted against a crimson sunset. "There's an emotional truth here that most landscape artists never achieve. I want to offer you a solo exhibition in Seattle, with potential representation afterward." The financial possibilities she outlined were staggering for someone who had been homeless 6 months earlier. Blake's initial reaction was carefully controlled, but Tyler noticed the tension in his shoulders, the way his jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "That's incredible." "Tyler," Blake said, his voice steady, "you deserve this kind of recognition." But his eyes betrayed deeper emotions, fear and loss warring with genuine happiness for Tyler's success. The community pressure reached a breaking point the following week when the Red Lodge School Board called a special meeting to discuss inappropriate influences on local children. Emma's teacher, Mrs. Patterson, had tried to shield Blake from the worst of the complaints, but word eventually reached him about the formal complaint filed by several parents. The most devastating blow came when Child Protective Services arrived at the ranch for an unannounced visit. The social worker was professional but thorough, interviewing Emma privately and inspecting every aspect of their living situation. Tyler felt sick knowing that his presence had triggered this invasion of Blake's carefully built life. Emma handled the interview with remarkable maturity, describing her happiness and security with simple honesty. "Tyler takes care of me when Daddy's working," she told the social worker. He helps with my homework and teaches me about art. He makes me feel safe. The investigation was closed within a week, but the emotional damage lingered. Tyler seriously considered accepting Sarah Chen's Seattle offer during those difficult weeks. The gallery opening would remove him from the situation, potentially allowing Blake and Emma to regain their standing in the community. When he mentioned this possibility to Blake, the conversation that followed changed everything between them. "You think leaving would fix this?" Blake asked, his voice tight with emotion. "Tyler, these people don't get to decide who my family is. If you leave because of them, they win. But if you leave because you genuinely want the opportunity, I'll support you completely." The distinction mattered everything to Tyler. The crisis that solidified their bond came during a difficult calving emergency. A valuable heifer was struggling with a breech presentation that threatened both mother and calf. Blake, Tyler, and Hank worked through the night, their hands working in muddy coordination to save both animals. When the calf finally emerged alive and healthy, Tyler felt something shift permanently. Tyler's decision crystallized during Emma's school art show. She had entered one of his paintings in the children's category, proudly explaining to anyone who would listen how Tyler had taught her about color mixing and composition. Seeing her innocent pride in their relationship, Tyler knew he couldn't abandon the family he had found. The morning Tyler called Sarah Chen to decline the Seattle opportunity, Blake found him sitting by the creek that gave the ranch its name. "I don't understand," Blake said quietly. "This is everything you work toward." Tyler's response was simple and devastating in its honesty. "This ranch, you and Emma, this life we're building," Tyler said. "This is my art now." The courage to stay when leaving feels easier often requires more strength than any gesture of independence ever could. The Red Lodge County Fair arrived with the kind of anticipation that marks the end of summer in rural Montana. For Tyler, it represented his first public presentation as an artist in this community that had become his home. The Arts Pavilion showcased local talent, and his Coming Home series occupied an entire wall, drawing curious visitors throughout the morning. Blake watched with quiet pride as fairgoers studied Tyler's paintings. The central piece, showing Blake working cattle while Emma rode alongside, captured something essential about their life that transcended simple documentation. A rancher's wife approached Tyler, her initial skepticism melting into genuine admiration. "You've made our land look like poetry," she told him. The day's turning point came during the community barbecue when Blake stood to address the gathered crowd. Tyler had no warning, no preparation for what was about to unfold. Blake's voice carried clearly over the fairgrounds as he held up a small velvet box, his hands surprisingly steady despite the magnitude of the moment. "10 months ago," Blake began, "I told a lie to protect a stranger. I said Tyler Mitchell was my husband to save him from cruelty. Today, I want to tell the truth." He dropped to one knee in front of hundreds of their neighbors, his eyes fixed on Tyler's stunned face. "Tyler Mitchell, will you marry me and make that lie the most honest thing I've ever said?" The ring had been Michael's, redesigned with Tyler's birthstone to honor both past and future. Tyler's hands shook as he reached for Blake, tears streaming down his face. "Yes," he whispered, then louder for everyone to hear. "Yes, always yes." The applause that erupted was not universal, but it was genuine, led by Emma's delighted cheering. Hank Morrison stood slowly, his weathered face serious as he addressed the crowd. "I've known Blake Harrison for 20 years, the old veteran said, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had earned respect through decades of honest work. "Judge a man by his character, not his bedroom. Tyler Mitchell is good people." The wedding planning that followed revealed how much the community had evolved. Rita from the coffee shop volunteered to cater the reception. Dr. Santos offered his veterinary clinic's back pasture for the ceremony. Even Mrs. Patterson quietly mentioned that Emma's class was excited to make decorations for the celebration. The wedding ceremony took place on a perfect September morning, with the Beartooth Mountains providing a breathtaking backdrop. Tyler wore Michael's wedding suit, altered to fit perfectly, while Blake chose simple jeans and his best white shirt. Emma served as both flower girl and ring bearer, her infectious joy setting the tone for the entire celebration. Not everyone attended the ceremony, but those who came did so with genuine happiness for the couple. The reception featured Tyler's paintings displayed throughout Dr. Santos's Oz pasture, creating an outdoor gallery that celebrated their love story. Hank's toast was memorable for its brevity and sincerity. To Blake and Tyler, proof that home is what you build, not where you start. The final scene of their story unfolded months later as Tyler painted in his new studio while Blake and Emma worked cattle in the distance. The afternoon light caught the mountains perfectly, and Tyler captured not just the visual beauty, but the emotional resonance of watching his family live their daily lives. Tyler's work gained recognition as his paintings began appearing in galleries from Billings to Bozeman, each piece carrying the authentic voice of someone who had found his place. Red Lodge became known